Basically what you're saying is that screen time has got a more addictive component than even something as serious as cocaine.
Cocaine, which we all know, it's very, very addictive, spikes your dopamine level 225% above baseline, so that's why it's so damaging to the brain. And now research is proving that screen time, whether it's good content or bad content, just to be in front of the screen will spike your dopamine level up to 300% above baseline. So on a brain scan, you can literally see the damage being done to a brain.
Hi family, we are very, very excited about the topic that we are to share today. Have you ever wondered how your device can potentially take over your life, can potentially ruin your life, can potentially steal the future of your child, of your home, even of your marriage, and even of your family? If any of the above is applicable to you, then stick around. We're going to go into this, and we also want to share with you what does the word of the Lord say. And with us today we have Dr. Anke Berndt, that's a specialist in this. She is well renowned for and speaking in so many diverse places on this topic very specifically. And what we're going to do today, we're going to speak about not just how an electronic device has an influence in your life, but we're also going to round it off scripturally and say what the word of the Lord says about it. We have to know that we're living in a time and a season that we need to know what the Bible say, what the word of the Lord declares, and to live around it. Nothing else will stand but the word of the Lord. So, Dr. Anke, thank you for joining us.
Pastor, thank you, and thank you for this amazing opportunity to share this platform with you.
It's a pleasure. Listen, tell us maybe just from the outset, what have you seen happening in the last couple of years, maybe 5, 10 years? What have you seen more and more happening with devices, young people, youth, children, households?
Yeah, Pastor, thank you. So this is what I do full time. So half of my time I'm spending in the counseling room. So I'm hands-on in this, not only from a scientific perspective, not just studying it and researching it, but literally working with children on ground level. So what I am seeing is really sad. You know, it breaks my heart on every level when I work with a mother whose child is completely addicted, and then maybe that child is 4 or 5 years old, when that mother will say to me, but I thought by giving my child a phone, I was doing him a favor, or that maybe my child will be more clever one day, or my child will get a job one day in IT, to working with a dad who is completely distraught because the boy was taking his own life, and where that dad was saying, but it is my fault because I was the one giving that child a phone. So in schools, I work a lot in schools. It is really my honor to work with the children. I start with them from grade R up to all the way grade 12. And yes, we see a massive increase, obviously, in children with digital devices. But what I also do see is a big pushback. So worldwide, we do see that a country like Australia, for example, they have now put in new legislation from December 2024 saying that it's illegal for children under the age of 16 to be on social media. We see a country like China, for example, that is saying that it is illegal to game after 8 o'clock at night. So, and there is reasons, you know, valid reason why TikTok is literally damaging a generation. So America is pushing back hard with regards to legislation, also making the legal age limit for social media. Some states are saying 16, other states are saying 18. We also see that almost 80% of schools in America are now phone-free schools. So from the 1st of January 2025, we see also that 4 schools in the Pretoria North area, they are also now saying they are phone-free schools. So we do see a huge pushback, but there is still not enough truth about what devices will be doing to you, not only to you as mentally or physically, but like you said, to what is it doing to the spirit man.
Yes. I read something during this week where somebody was saying that devices these days, as you scroll through a reel or Facebook or Instagram, because technology by itself is not evil. I guess it's how you use it.
Yes.
And the future is full of technology, full of AI. I think that's where all of us are going. But I read something very interesting where they said that as you go through a reel, as you go through Instagram, and this person was saying it's designed in a way that you cannot stop the scroll in a sense. It's addictive by nature. And then this person was alluding to and saying, almost like back in the day or 10, 15 years ago, when you open up a newspaper, you would have been able to close a newspaper. There was a beginning and an end. Not that addiction format to it. But now these days, there's no end to it. If you think about movies, for an example, or Netflix, you can just skip to the next episode almost immediately. What have you seen in terms of the addictive nature of screen time, and maybe the influence that screen time? First question: what have you seen in terms of the addictive nature of it? Or is there a pattern of addiction that you can say? Maybe
so it's a very packed question, but so way back when let's rewind 100 years ago when cigarettes came out, where the advertisement was on a medical doctor smoking a Camel, and then the ad will say, after a hard day's work, I smoke a Camel. Or when they will say, give cigarettes to pregnant women because it just numbs the morning sickness and the nausea, where they were pushing all these ad campaigns, actually knowing scientifically that these cigarettes are causing cancer on a major scale. And then we had this one whistleblower saying, listen, but here is the research. It is proven that cigarettes are causing cancer. And then everyone was saying, don't smoke cigarettes. So with technology, obviously, initially, it was like you say, the idea of something like Facebook initially was good. It was to get in contact with friends. Your Facebook page were full of posts and pictures, and it was fun to be on there, just to connect the varsity students, and later on it spread it. But when a guy like what is the guy's name who started the Apple iPad? Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, when he presented the Apple iPad for the first time, it was at the TED conference, he presented all these fancy gadgets, and one of the people in the audience asked Steve Jobs, so what does your own children think about the Apple iPad? And his answer was that my own children are not allowed on any digital device. And that actually should have been like red flag number one. Why? So now the designers of these devices, the designers of Google, the designers of Pinterest and Instagram, they are now the whistleblowers, like the story with the cigarettes, saying, listen, we have designed these platforms with intent. We studied human psychology. We studied slot machines. We studied gambling, seeing and understanding what makes a person addictive to slot machines, like the scrolling, and literally built in the same coding into games, into Minecraft, into Fortnite, into these technologies. So the intent was maybe started innocently, and understanding that, listen, there is a huge addictive component. We are making billions and billions of dollars, and just created it now with algorithms. So algorithms is actually the addictive component. So that's why social media is so harmful, is because of algorithms. So if we have to go study the brain and what is happening in the brain. And that's actually so amazing to understand how amazingly God created us. So we literally have a part in our brain called the nucleus accumbens, which is your pleasure center in the brain. Just understanding that God created you to experience pleasure, so much so that you have a pleasure center in the brain. And the thing that drives pleasure and the thing that makes you happy is a neurotransmitter called dopamine. So dopamine is your motivator. That is that chemical when you open up a packet of whatever, Doritos, and thinking you're going to have one or two, ending up finishing the packet. That is the dopamine. So a chemical like sugar, for example, it will spike your dopamine level about 50% above baseline. Then you get nicotine, spiking your dopamine level about 150% above baseline. Cocaine, which we all know, it's very, very addictive, spikes your dopamine level 225% above baseline. So that's why it's so damaging to the brain. And now research is proving that screen time, whether it's good content or bad content, just to be in front of the screen will spike your dopamine level up to 300% above baseline. So on a brain scan, you can literally see the damage being done to a brain. So it is scientifically proven, and what I do see with children, especially when you talk about them about gaming, and gaming have a very pride component to it. So a gamer is a very prideful person. You cannot convince a gamer that what you are doing is damaging to you. But where they will say, but almost like, yeah, it may happen to you, but it will not happen to me. And unfortunately, just like drugs, if you are using it, you will get the brain damage.
So basically what you're saying is that screen time has got a more addictive component than even something as serious as cocaine.
Yes.
And what have you seen in young people? I know you're in schools all the time, you're helping young people. What have you seen like on the ground happening with kids right now? Like if we say in the South African context, what have you seen on the ground happening with young people?
So in South African context, we are currently the most internet addictive country in the world. So they did a study worldwide to see where we are. So currently South Africa is number 1 with an average screen time of about 10 hours and 46 minutes a day. The average teenager is online roughly about 9 hours a day. The average teenager get up to 80 notifications a day, and we touch our phone like more than 2,000 times a day. So we are right up there with regards to screen time. And what is sad about South Africa is that we do not have legislation helping us. We do not have this huge, movements and, like I say, like your first world countries just saying no to screen times or no to screens in schools. So what I do see is that at the end of the day, it is the responsibility of the church, it's the responsibility of the parents, it's the responsibility of the schools to stand up and say no to screens, no to devices. And it's a difficult wheel almost to turn around, but it's not impossible.
If you can have advice, maybe back to the scrolling of things, to parents, for example, if you scroll, my point earlier, it gets the one and then after the other one after the other, and a newspaper has got a beginning and an end.
Yes.
It's almost like the parent has become the stop cue. They need to be the stopper in a sense. Like this is enough, because surely it has an influence on academics.
Yes.
Must have an influence on child, the pressure groups or the peers around them. The development. What would your advice be to parents, saying this is how you can be the stop cue? Because I would guess if you just take it away, you're going to have almost a revolt. But what would be like easy steps that parents can follow?
I think step number 1 is to delay as long as possible. So what we do see with the generation Alpha, so they are the children from 13 and under, they are also being called now the iPad kids, because it's the first generation of children who have a phone as a babysitter. And like you say, we do see the developmental problems, the neurological problems, the emotional problems. So number one, I will say delay, 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 delay. It's a question I do get often from parents. What is a good age to give my child a phone? And my answer will be, when a child goes to high school, you can give a phone for the first time, but then give this dumb phone where they can contact you or they can SMS you like we had. Yes. Our first phones were without the internet, and 100%. We survived that. So, and then also, then again, when you do give the phone, like a dumb phone or these flip phones, and then also delay social media up to the age of 16. So then for the first time, give a phone with access to the internet at 16. Also just because the brain is then a bit more developed. So that scrolling, like you say, it's running with algorithms. And it is like a game like Minecraft, for example. Like you say, it's what we call, it's a sandbox game. There's just no ending. Take a game like Mario that we played, most of us played Mario. So we started the game and there were levels and you had to kill, what was that dragon's name? Buzzer or Moser or something like that. You killed the dragon, you leveled up, and then at the end of the day, you could finish Mario, and that was it. But the games now are it's like a sandbox, so it's never ending. Also, a game like Call of Duty, for example, they will give a new expansion pack or a new upgrade every single year. And it's designed for you to never end. And that's also why parents will ask me, but what about television? And I do agree with you that a movie almost, it's better. Because you set the child in front of the movie, it has a beginning, it has an end. And once the movie is over, you can say, listen, movie is over, we had fun, go play outside. But scrolling and TikTok, Instagram, it is designed to be like that. And now also with the algorithms, which is quite sad, is that once you click on something that is interesting to you, you will get the same message over and over and over and over and over again. And also what I do see, and it's a fact, WhatsApp, for example, you agree that WhatsApp can follow your location. So say you go into Menlyn and you go into poetry, or you go into Woolworths. When you get home on your Facebook, all of a sudden you get all these advertisements of poetry and Woolworths clothes. So it is absolutely cleverly designed. But one day I was at a youth camp actually, and there was a girl there. She's 13 years old, and she had anorexia. She was really shockingly thin. At the end of the day, she was admitted in a psychiatric hospital for about 6 months, and she didn't return to school. But again, what happened to her, she was like a bit overweight, not like hugely overweight, but for her and for her body, she was thinking, all right, maybe I can lose a kilo or two. And children today use TikTok instead of Google, so TikTok is their search engine. So she started searching on intermittent fasting. So at some stage, intermittent fasting was like the buzzword, and so now the TikTok algorithm started running, being thin, intermittent fasting, and with that, the algorithm also gave her calorie counting and how to count calories. So for my body, for example, I need about 2,000 calories a day. And for you, maybe 4,000 calories a day, which is normal. And that girl cuts down her calories up to, she only ate 350 calories a day, which was a half an apple and 2 Provitas. Because of the algorithm. So she kept on seeing being thin, being skinny, being thin, being skinny. And she ended up having a huge eating disorder. And I must tell you, one thing that I never personally had success of helping children through that is children with eating disorders. It is really, really horrible. So yes, it's not good. Nothing about this constant scrolling or doom scrolling is good. There's nothing that you can learn about it. And just back on TikTok, so one of the reasons why America was saying no to TikTok is that the company that owns TikTok is a Chinese company called ByteDance. So in China, you have to be 16 years old to be on TikTok, and they do have age verification software. And everything on TikTok in China is educational, it's uplifting, it's motivational, but that's not the product that they exported to the Western world. So now for the Western world, you can just click saying that you are 13 years old because the age restriction for us is 13. There's no age verification software, and we know the content on TikTok is demonic.
So basically anybody can access you
Yes.
once you're on it.
Yes. I was at a school the other day and I was asking, they gave me the grade 1, 2s and 3s, and I did a session with them about, safe and unsafe. And one of the questions I'd ask these children are, who have their own cell phone? And obviously, like almost all the children lifted up their hands. And then I asked who's on Instagram, and here in the front row, there was this little tiny girl. She's got TikTok and she's got Instagram, and I asked her, how old are you? And she said, I'm 5 years old. This girl, 5, on TikTok, on Instagram, on all these apps, and my first thought was, where's your parents? Where's the gatekeepers of your heart and the gatekeepers of your eyes? Where are they?